Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of MedAccess Hub and Juleb Talk. Today, we have the pleasure of hosting Yusuf Jamjoom. Yusuf Jamjoom is the COO of Juleb. Juleb is a pioneering Saudi-based company providing integrated pharma solutions for supply chain and healthcare in general. Yusuf, as the CEO of Juleb, has provided solutions to different parts of GCC and the MENA regions to provide and integrate solutions across healthcare systems to provide better access to patients in delivering pharmacy best solutions to patients and across healthcare systems in the Gulf and the GCC region. Welcome, Yusuf, and it's a pleasure of having you today.
Thank you, Dr. Adil, for the kind introduction, and I'll be looking forward to having a very formative conversation and talking to you as one of the leaders and specialized individuals in this area.
Thank you, Yusuf. Honestly, and I'll be very transparent. It gives me an absolute pride to in us here in the Middle East. You make us proud, honestly, Yusuf, coming up with a pioneering solution such as Juleb, and we will speak more to our audience about Juleb on the solutions that you came up with and how it's ultimately providing better patient care and solutions to provide patient care to our frontliners in pharmacies and across different sectors. And the impact is not only providing a solution. At the end of the day, the impact directly touches patients. So thank you very much. And honestly, the honor is ours.
Hearing that statement after many years of work really gave us the joy. This journey was not a one night work. It was really a team effort, and it was a lot of thinking and going deep and talking to users directly and understanding what are the problems that they're facing and working closely with them to come up with something that can be not only solving their problems as regional problems, but also developing the solution from here. And we are very ambitious to have a kind of a solution to solve the problem, not only for the region, but going global, inshallah.
So before discussing problems and solutions, and that's the positivity about the topic today, that we want to discuss solutions. So for our audience, Yusuf, can you tell us who is Yusuf Jamjoom and what inspired you to start Juleb?
The Juleb journey started a few years ago, and the story started as I was working in the pharma industry. I was very passionate into technology and kind of seeing what technology can bring and change and add value to industries. Given my experience and working closely with different stakeholders in the pharma industry, I was looking at different solutions. We have worked initially on a concept that help the delivery to end users, and then the concept pivoted to really build a solution that can be a platform that serves many stakeholders in the supply chain. The first solution that we started with was solution that caters for pharmacies. We developed a system that includes point of sale, inventory management, purchasing, and accounting. And the solution was also covering all the compliance needs for the Saudi landscape. That was in 2021. And in the past few years since we launched, we have expanded the number of modules that we include in the offering. And also we have added multiple countries compliance into the integrations that we have offered. So you can say kind of my journey and story started in taking my pharma experience and combine it with the passion for technology and coming up with an added solution. And that solution was organically growing with the market needs.
Great. It's honestly, you're an inspiration. Thank you for telling us how did this start. So you basically started in 2021, and we will talk to our audience on how this evolved into different solutions as you have studied the market needs, as you mentioned. So since we are discussing technologies, Yusuf, and let me tell you, as a frontliner and as a person that now works purely in supply chain, the number one challenge that you face is, what are those technologies and what do they offer? So under Juleb's general platform or vision, how many solutions do you provide? And then we'll start discussing each solution. For example, if the audience would log into Juleb's website, you will find Juleb ERP, Juleb Rx, Juleb Connect. So take us through, for example, those solutions and what do they provide?
Yeah.
If we start with Juleb ERP, for example.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good question, because there's always multiple hats you can look at this. So one is the internal hat that we look at in how we divide products. The second hat on the potential use case from a customer perspective. And then you can say within the roles that the different users and how they use our software into their specific, you can say, jobs. So I will first simplify how we are positioned. So the way we define ourselves today, we're a modular solution. So we have a lot of modules that we can offer to different customers in different ways. So I will list out the different modules, and those modules could come in a one bundle, or they could come up, or they could be used as single modules, and they could be plugged into an existing ecosystem that the user is using.
So depending on what the customer needs, they can use one module, two modules, or all three.
Oh, exactly.
Understood.
So exactly.
Great.
So we'll start by listing the modules. So as we mentioned, we have the point of sale, inventory management, purchasing, accounting, business intelligence, planning and forecasting. We have compliance module. We have B2B sales, and we have the e-prescription, and we have also a few smaller ones as well. So we look at, this is from a module point of view. And then we have, you can say, from a business point of view, you have the pharmacy retail, you have the distribution companies in pharma, and then you have the manufacturing businesses. The modules that is used by manufacturing, it could be planning and forecasting, it could be business intelligence, and it could be B2B sales. For distribution, B2B sales could be also used, BI, the compliance for the drug trace and track, inventory management, accounting, and the integration module. For the retail, also the point of sale, the inventory management,
so when we come to the retail piece and inventory management, because you mentioned those initially, and now that triggers the importance of adopting a solution that monitors your inventory correctly, because and then you also mentioned like BI solutions to help, so generating reports. Everything nowadays, Yusuf, is about data, correct?
Correct.
So, and accuracy of data and accuracy also of stocks, because you mentioned accounting. And when you mention stocks, and if your ordering pattern is correct based on a solution that you have on hand, it helps you have less discrepancies, better accounting, and more accurate balance sheets at the end of the year. So when we come from a retail setting, before discussing other solutions, how important does Juleb see the inventory management module that they provide? And from the feedback of your customers, how did they benefit out of that solution, specifically when it comes to inventory management?
Yeah. For sure. As you may know, when we talk about the pharma industry, inventory is at its core operation. So since it involves moving of goods and selling of goods, it revolves around inventory. So good inventory is very important to all the key stakeholders, whether you're in procurement, whether you're in inventory operation, moving and transferring goods from warehouses, or receiving goods from suppliers, or selling goods, or doing different analytics to make sure you have the right level of stocks. Great. And not too high where you impact your financials, and not too low to impact your patient experience.
That perfect balance that everyone's looking for, Yusuf.
Exactly. So I think that the first starting point that we add value in is the ability to have the proper information for products. So you start at a product level, and this can differ from one organization to another in terms of what exact information they need to record in the master file. So that's the first starting point. So allowing users to have a lot of fields and a lot of columns where all of the information that needs to be captured around inventory and product information can be registered well. That's first.
And that, let me interrupt you here.
Sure.
And I want to echo you honestly, Yusuf. Everyone that's watching us, what Yusuf just mentioned is the core of the success of any organization. If you want to monitor inventory properly, is having a cleansed, accurate item master. You start there and everything else is achievable. So the core formulary, if you're in a hospital, or your core item list, if you're working in retail, the attributes that Yusuf is talking about, and probably Juleb provides, he mentioned several columns, attributes, as we like to call them. The flexibility of those attributes, as long as they're entered accurately, it helps your solution provider come up with more accurate reports for you, so that you have the outcome of having the right sized inventory and the available medication at the right time for your patients. Go ahead, Yusuf.
Exactly. So that's the first one. Second is the ability to register serialization. So as you may know, we have drug trace and track regulations today in Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, and we have multiple countries in the region that are in the pipeline in different phases that will be having drug trace and track. Drug trace and track is the transition from monitoring products by batch to monitoring products by unique serial number to each box. Great. So on a system level, this is a huge transition, and it requires a lot of capturing of information in different ways than what it used to be. So that's one. Second is the ability to integrate with different systems to be able to transmit the information in the right time, in the right format, to be able to achieve compliance.
Can I ask you a question there?
Of course.
Because this is a very important point. As you enter I would say transcribe this information in whichever format, you mentioned that you integrate with other systems. Can you give us like one or two examples? Like,
yes,
when this information is provided by the end user and entered or transcribed, and then whatever methodology of technology of how it enters the module that you're providing, how can you explain to us and give us one or two examples on the integration piece?
100%. So you mentioned integration. Integration, when we talk about integration, there is typically two cases of integration. One is internal integration. So it has to do with the internal communication of the company data. So as we mentioned, we are a modular solution. So in some cases, we help come as a complementary add-on solution. So we integrate and make sure the data is transmitting internally properly. That's one. Second is externally. And that's when we say externally, and we're talking about drug trace and track, we're talking about the regulation or the national system for drug trace and track. So the two sides of integration, we help users achieve. Sometimes the user has to do some internal work to make sure they are ready to handle that change, because some of the systems are not cloud. And as you may know, if you're not a cloud system, then you face a layer of challenge, because the data is not transmitted as easily as a cloud system would be transmitting.
I would like to say semi-manual / technological workarounds have to be done in these cases, correct?
Exactly. And these typically are case by case. So technical teams has to discuss and make sure the infrastructure are in place. But we always recommend the more cloud you are, the more ready, and it will decrease your potential errors in the journey.
Correct. So now we've discussed some of the solutions that Juleb provides. You have some modular solutions. We've discussed also the ability to integrate, the importance of having the accurate data to be able to provide whatever outcome your customer is requiring. Now, to come back to a point you mentioned, which is essential, we're partners with a lot of suppliers, Yusuf, and the success of whichever setting you work at, whether hospital or retail, is to have a competent supplier that has a good system in place, so that I'm not succeeding on my own, and my supplier or my distributor or my provider of medication or supplies is at the same level of technological requirements. Can you tell me more about the solutions you provide to distributors, for example?
Yeah. So first, I'll say a small comment. So usually users are very ambitious and they want to solve all the problems at once. But we always, when we sit with the customers, we say it has to be kind of a gradual, step-by-step approach, starting to fix the fundamental problems, fix the most critical problems that you are dealing with on a daily basis, and then keep building from there step by step, and adding layers of innovation as you go until you reach the ideal end goal that
you require.
Yeah,
you are aiming for.
Exactly. Yeah. So today we'll give you an example of a use case of a person doing a procurement on a pharmacy level, and how our solution help in his job, and kind of decreasing the time required to do a order from the supplier. So one of our solutions is the inventory and planning. We call it inventory planning. So it's a module connected to the inventory operations. When a user want to generate an order, it gives them an interface where they can do a lot of different things at once in one place. So they can select a category of product, they can select a supplier, they can select a list of products, and they can work on in terms of what supply they want to order, how many days, and they can analyze the historical sales of those products, and they can have the outliers, meaning if they have zero stocks or they have a promotions or some capabilities to add certain rules to make sure they can come up with the best, you can say, planning or forecast for that order. And it can be all done in a single step, where it can give them that visibility and how much they need to order from that supplier. So today, this is a step from the, you can say, person doing procurement from the distributor. Okay. If we take a distribution case, distribution, we have also two cycles. You have the cycle of the sales. So you have the sales reps capturing the orders, and then you have the approval cycles, and then you have the warehouse operations to prepare the order, and then sending the orders, then the collection, and then also you have a procurement from the manufacturer or from the supplier on the distribution level. So okay. as you can imagine, the modules can be used in different use cases, whether you're on pharmacy level or distribution level.
Okay. So it's great. So what you're saying is, and that's the beauty of the module, it caters the request as per where are you in that journey of medication for patients, whether at the distribution end, from the distribution to the distributor to their supplier, or from the distributor end to the retailer, or inside the retailer itself. Correct?
Exactly. And we will add a few components as we go in the presentation. But yes, that's that you can say the gist of what we're doing.
You mentioned the track and trace, Yusuf, and for people on watching us, I'm here in the UAE, you're in Saudi Arabia, and we're blessed, honestly, that our countries are looking into those initiatives, which for pharmacists and non-pharmacists on the call or watching us, you should understand the value of the impact of having such an initiative, of ensuring that the product that you're receiving is the right product, not counterfeit, quality, and passing all the regulatory requirements that are set by the country's federal laws. So, Yusuf, on track and trace, can you just tell the audience more about track and trace and the role of Juleb on how did you sort of come up with solutions to cater for this new requirement by our regulatory bodies?
For sure. So when we started in Juleb, we started as the first point of sale solution to be compatible with the drug trace and track in Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. And as we went and the system matured, we also covered the cycle for distribution as well. The distribution, the new added piece is the ability to operate fast operations on a big warehouse level. So for drug trace and track, for those who are not very familiar, it starts from the manufacturing. So the manufacturer enters a unique serial number for each box of medication that is manufactured. And then when the product is shipped from manufacturing to distribution company, the manufacturer reports to the authority that this 20,000 products has been shipped to that distribution with a specific location. So the location is referred to as GLN, or global location number, as a warehouse. Mm-hmm. And then the distribution moves that product to the pharmacy or the different pharmacies. And with those, a notification is sent to the authority. And then the pharmacy receives in a main warehouse and then transfer those to a pharmacies or sublocations that they would dispense from. And then if there's a return or a recall, also those are recorded into the notification back to the authorities. So you can say there's a lot of supply chain movement and tracking that happens in all of these steps.
And how is Juleb now part of that solution?
Exactly. So you can imagine if you are doing this with the old ways, you have to do a lot of different steps to be able to be compliant. Mm-hmm. And in many times, the companies who are doing that, if they are doing it with the system that is not supporting the drug trace and track movement, it's additional a lot of hours that is invested into the system and potentially a lot of mistakes that can happen, because if you're big scale, you're doing thousands and thousands of different serial numbers, and that's not easy to you can spot missing something or misallocating a product for another. These such mistakes can happen if you don't have the proper visibility.
So as efficiency and efficacy. So you bring in efficiency in terms of time saved and efficacy in terms of lesser error.
So the first thing, we give better visibility. So when we say visibility, first, that's through reporting. Second, the user interface in the different steps, they can see what is happening and we can give in checks and balances. And third, we can also do automations. So through automations, if something happens, a lot of things can happen in the background. Well, you can say offload from the user itself. Another thing that we do is you can say fast scanning and different machine learning techniques that can really make things be done faster.
Okay, that's great to know. Now, back to Juleb's solutions. We've discussed inventory management and different modules that you provide. Has your e-prescription model gone live yet, or it's still under development?
Exactly. So our e-prescription covers a specific use case, and that use case is for clinics in private practice that do not have pharmacies, and the pharmacies that use Juleb ERP nearby. So if you're a private practice...
Fair enough for me, Yusuf. You're providing a solution for people to communicate together safely. So the e-prescription model is something amazing, and it ensures quality and safety. So it's amazing.
And availability, and it helps availability as well. Because 100%. Sometimes if the doctor prescribed something and the patient could not find it, then he would come back to the doctor, and both were not going to be like could not have the best experience. But if the doctor can know that this is available medication, that can really shorten the potential cycle.
Correct. So let me talk to you more. Let me jump into the shoes of an end user here and start telling you how is, or quote unquote, challenging you now. I'm suffering as an end user from the word out of stock, which means when we usually hear the word out of stock, you technically hear from end users complaining about certain professionals within their teams that they did not plan better. They did not capture that gap before it happens, so that we can proactively communicate to end users before it happens. So here is why, Yusuf, I'm encouraging my colleagues to invest in solutions. And I will ask that question later, Yusuf, wallahi, and just for the audience to understand what question am I talking about. We have to invest in technology. Technologies don't necessarily show you quick wins, but long-term investments definitely have a fruitful outcome. And that's why Yusuf is with us today on the call. Invest into technology, everyone, because technologies are the way moving forward. Technologies is like what Yusuf mentioned. They provide efficiency, less working hours on certain tasks that years ago used to take 2-3 hours. Solutions such as Juleb now cut these time in half or even less. So your individual that's sitting as an officer doing a job, or even at the retail setting, or even at the hospital setting, they are now freed up to look into more critical roles. So investing into those solutions is really important. Now back to the pain point of whether you're working at a retail setting or a hospital setting. The number one issue, regardless of the global supply chain issues that we're facing during COVID and probably a little bit after COVID, what sort of demand planning solutions does Juleb provide to help assist people, whether at a hospital setting, retail setting, or even a distributor setting, proactively alert people if something is going wrong or not?
Yeah. Okay. So first, if you're okay, I will break down the out of stock problem. Okay. So people can kind of relate more to the story and potentially how the solution is adding value. So first, there is a component that the manufacturers need to predict, proper prediction. They need to procure the raw material, have it ready, distribution, do the same calculation or similar calculation, and then the product can be closer to the customers who are let's say the pharmacies that are doing the procurement and keeping at their own pharmacies. Now, the first starting point is you can say the first challenge starts at the procurement level of the manufacturers. They source a lot of materials from many countries, and the post-COVID-19 pandemic added a certain layer of a challenge and additional lead times to those procurement requests. Second is the you can say distribution and logistics. So there is the lead time of different locations. So after the manufacturer prepares it, they need to go to distribution, and distribution needs to be in different cities or different countries, and that is the base, or having it closer to the pharmacies that they need to procure. So for that to happen, there's a lot of kind of calculation that goes into that. So the more data you have, the better you can say calculation for those requests. So the first starting point that having a good system is you can say the ability to have inputs in one place. So you can have all the inputs recorded in the system. Second is the usability to use. So you don't have only a system. Some systems are very complicated, especially when you want to do a lot of things in a system. So making it easy for users to be using that's a very important component. Third part, which I think we should be very thankful to be in a time where really technology is advancing. So started with the cloud movement recently, and now with the AI. So cloud helps information to be real time available, and you can do things that you can extract a report at any time, and that report will be real time. Second is the ability to compute big data. So AI really help in that processes, and AI is really having an intelligent component into that big processing as well. So combining those three together, which is ability to capture data. Second is the ability to process these data and the user interface that can help you do that. Third is the compute or the processing that comes along this journey. The end result is you can say the product that we offer is something that can be used by different stakeholders, as you mentioned, in the supply chain. And our process can be tweaked based on the user needs. So the framework, you can say, has a lot of similarity in terms of how you forecast or how you order, because you want a specific outcome and you need to calculate certain inputs. So our system have that flexibility, and we also have the ability to work closely with big enterprise customers to help them achieve their goals accordingly. And that's with that, amazing. You have the you can say use cases.
Yeah. Oh, so you technically, as an outcome, avoid those surprises if your system is across all the end users you mentioned, end users to you, I mean, are utilizing your system at its best. So now another question, again, a pain point, and I guess we need to brainstorm a solution together. Does Juleb bring in solutions of integrating with existing ERPs that are in place, the big ones that most of the big companies are using? Because sometimes, and I tell you, what do we face? What do multiple people face? Some of those are not typically designed to be healthcare. Initially designed to be healthcare systems, which I understand. But how does Juleb come in and solve this missing, I would say, piece of the puzzle, where it's a pain point to people, where their ERP that they're currently using is, and nothing's perfect, don't get me wrong, but where does Juleb come in and solve these pain points, whichever they are and whatever they are? Because some of those big, well-known ERP providers, they provide a lot of excellent solutions, but we're always having these 2 or 3 pain points that they sort of say this is a big enhancement, where we don't have such a solution. Where does Juleb here provide solutions for lesser pain for us as supply chain professionals?
Exactly. So the first part of the question is, yes, we have ready integration for the big ERPs, including SAP, Oracle, and Microsoft Dynamics, especially those that are cloud versions. So we come in, and if those ERPs are in place, we do offer those integrations and have that cycle in place as internal system communication.
Depending on what is missing and what the customer is asking you, of course.
Yeah. So as we have said, we have different modules, and they can come in covering the different pain points that the customers are, you can say, facing.
The specific gap between the ERP and what they need. If that ERP is not providing it, Juleb comes in and provide that solution based on that gap.
Exactly. So our journey typically starts by showcasing our product demo. So a user would, or the team from that company would see the solutions that we offer. Then we go into a deeper discussion where what are the kind of integration points or gaps that we can fulfill depending on the existing pain points. In many of the cases, we immediately reach that conclusion. And if we offered 1, 2, 3, 4 on top of this, the overall solution is complemented. In some cases, there are specific workflows or specific requirements additional to what we have in place. Then we work closely and we identify those, and we create a roadmap to achieve those additional specific requirements if those customers have or need that.
Perfect. So, Yusuf, before I jump to a very important question and conclude that part of our discussion, what other solutions that probably I missed asking you about that Juleb provides that you want the audience to be aware of?
Sure. So when you asked about the different stakeholders, we have talked about the manufacturing, and we have talked about the distribution, and we have talked about the retail pharmacy. One of the areas we are looking at is the hospital pharmacies. And maybe I'll ask you a question here, and then I will add the additional component from a stakeholder perspective.
Sure.
So the hospital, as you may know, is you can say a complicated ecosystem within itself.
Correct.
So maybe if I ask you, Dr. Adil, in terms of from your experience in a hospital, how many system is being used, and then we will zoom more into the pharmacy side.
So, thank you for asking me the question. For the audience who don't know me, and why Yusuf is asking me the question is because I've never worked in anywhere except in a hospital setting. And to echo Yusuf, it's pretty complex, and you can go. So let me count. You have an ERP that is being used by a supply chain department. You have an HIS that definitely, and here's a gap, we always have challenges, if I may say the word correctly and with the highest emotional intelligence, challenges in providing the ultimate integration between these two systems. You have, with complex hospitals, you have automated dispensing cabinet systems that manage their inventory. That's a system on its own. You have, in each hospital, there's an inpatient setting and an outpatient setting. So you have inventory management for those, which is different because you have unit doses, you have different stock unit of measurements. Sometimes you have to store dispense partials, units, bags, pre-packed. So many inventory units to lump sum or as a conclusion come into one product. And you have single dose units, as I mentioned, but in the outpatient setting, you have the typical retail where you dispense packages to patients. The whole package goes out to the patient. So inventory monitoring of those two different settings is quite challenging, especially now with more automation and technology. You have automated dispensing cabinet systems that are on floors, wards, where you try to monitor utilization at different sublocations. So I think typically at a minimum, and I'm not a person who is, I would say, pharmacy automation, but I work a lot with my automation colleagues. you would say typically a minimum of 4 or 5 systems that you want them to talk to each other. And for a person who is only looking after the ERP, all he or she cares about is the accuracy of the data that comes from those sublocation systems to the supply chain systems so that they can order properly from their suppliers. So here's the complexity, Yusuf. We want, typically, as you know, as you rightly mentioned, we are ambitious. The number one request when we sit with people like Yusuf or the people who provide pharmacy automation solutions is we want everything integrated. You know what I mean? So that's a magical solution that we try to provide. But I guess with the level of experience as you grow older into the industry, you try to maximize your available resources to the best of their ability. And I guess that's the message I'm trying to give to the people is with hospitals, you cannot reach 100% integration, but you can maximize the available resources and invest into solutions like Juleb or others that provide the same to minimize gaps within the current system. So that's an answer to your first question, the challenges we face and number of systems we have to use.
Yeah. So I would like to add that what you have talked about are typically the internal workflows or the internal system communication. Typically, you have also external communication that you would like, whether that's compliance related or you can say other growth related that you want to integrate with other systems to give better patient experience. So to add to your question that you have asked, we are expanding and we have started already the hospital component as the you can say intersection of expanding more into healthcare. Then we have a new experience that we are recently testing in Saudi Arabia, which is to end users. So it's a service that a patient is looking for a medication. They would use that service and they would search for a medication and we can tell them where it is available. So this is a added component to kind of the supply chain offering that we're looking for, also touching the availability or the patient experience, where if they could not find it at the place or the location near them, what do they do?
That's music to my ears, Yusuf, because the motto behind MedAccess is any solution to help patients find their medication or improve their access or speed up the access to their medication is amazing. So that's a brilliant solution to bring to patients, honestly.
And we're calling that solution Juleb 911.
Wow. Yeah. Emergency. Wow.
Emergency.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So I have a golden question here, Yusuf, and I'm trying to be an advocate for it recently. Can you tell the audience, and I'll tell the audience as an end user here and a frontliner previously, the importance of investing in technology?
So if I said anything, I would look like biased, but kind of I'll step back from my position and kind of and saying it in, you can say, in a different way, where usually when someone thinks of technology, the first thing that comes to mind is that it's expensive and in many cases it fails. That's like usually the unfortunate truth to a lot of experts and kind of people who have been in the industry and they had a lot of experiences. In many cases, the implementation fails after paying a lot of money. So the first thing that like someone, they take it with a skepticism. So what we are really trying to do is come in with a kind of a different approach where we work closely. We decrease that barrier and we tell the customers and the potential users, we will work with you doing pilots, showcasing you how the solution could work. We want to make it for you visible. We're not just telling just fluffy things. It's actually, you can see the added value. And we believe our value for money is in many times justified with a very good ROI. So what we advise people, kind of refresh your view on technology investment. Talk to people openly. So for those who have certain specific challenges, bring that up to the potential partner that you're going to work out with. Be specific into the business goals that you're looking to achieve. Technology at the end of the day is an enabler for you. So the clearer the goal, the clearer the objective that you want to achieve, and the better you communicate it to the partner, they will make sure they work closely with you to achieve that goal. So I think, yes, but start with clarifying the objectives and simplify it in how those can add value to the business. And a partner that is strong in technology can work closely with you. And with today's tools and technology advancement, it could be a good time to revisit and consider the technology potential investments.
Let me tell you my side of the story here and why I'm advocating for technology investment. So let's start from ERP. When I have a solution that helps me forecast better, demand better, request better, raise accurate quantities, I get to hold the right sized inventory, which is money, which means I'm right stocked, because if I'm overstocked, that is holding cash. That is much higher impact on my free cash or my cash flow, which would then impact if I order too much, then I owe too much. So I'm translating this into dollar signs or dirham signs or real signs. Then on the pharmacy setting, a good technology will provide you lesser discrepancies, better quality, and if you have this, it will eventually lead to better patient satisfaction because you have the drug. You don't run out. You monitor things appropriately. And above all, time is money. If you don't invest in technology, you would then have to compensate this with manual work. Manual work is man hours. Man hours is money, is salaries. You can justify many things of why technology is very important and essential in the era we live in now, specifically in healthcare. More importantly, since we mentioned track and trace, the importance of barcodes, technology, the quality and safety aspect of having those systems, whether a proper ERP system, middleware, or solutions such as Juleb, they provide an important quality and safety aspect that has to be measured so that we can advocate for having technologies on board. I'm not sure if you agree with me.
100%. So I think the ROI with today's advancement can be really calculated, and you can view the potential added value into your organization, and that can reflect into the potential growth of your role and how the company operates.
Exactly. So to wrap up, Yusuf, and to honestly thank you for being with us on this episode, I want to, usually this is something we should start with, but I would like to end the episode with the importance and the collaboration that you should have with companies that provide solutions is essential for our patients. It's essential for providing our best patient care, providing the right medication to the right patient at the right time. And that is why collaboration between entities and institutions with the right solution provider is essential, which is why we are here today to have that message to the audience. Invest in the right technologies for your patients, for providing better care, for providing the right medication at the right time. Anything that you want to add, Yusuf, in that area?
I will only kind of compliment or echo what you have said in terms of talking to a technology provider that understands the business. So as a specialized pharma supply chain technology or solution provider, we can come in and really decrease the potential time that a user would require to explain or write or you can say educate the partner. So we can really make things quicker, and we make implementations much faster, given that we have done a lot of use cases in different countries and in different settings that can resonate with the potential users. So the success that they would envision can be much quicker, and it would cost much less. So hopefully we can help in the overall adding value to healthcare and giving better patient access to medication.
Exactly. So thank you, Yusuf, today for coming up. And today, by the way, for everyone to know, this marks a collaboration between two different settings of podcasts. You have the MedAccess Hub, you have Juleb Talk. Hopefully, we will share with you the links you guys can follow. Again, we share the same message of providing the best for our patients, provide innovative solutions for better healthcare outcomes. Thank you, Yusuf.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you
on
on the show.
My pleasure. All the best.
Thank you, Yusuf.